Many thanks for choosing us. Workers of the Ghana Meteorological Agency will from tomorrow disengage from all services provided to the public and specific institutions, including the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. They would also not provide services to farmers, fishermen, road contractors, insurance companies, but the airports are likely to be hardest hit with the possibility of a shutdown. The workers are unhappy about poor conditions of service, which they say has not been addressed despite many engagements with the government over the situation.
We expect an open, frank, and honest discussion, where after the meeting, at least there will be an understanding of all the issues, and we can come out with a roadmap as to how we'll be able to deal with the issues that we've come. If that doesn't happen, again, the union, the national union executive, together with the staff, will meet again and we'll look at a next line of action. I can assure you that none of us is happy, to embark on a strike. And that is why we are saying, I'm saying that we are expecting a frank, open discussion. We are not saying that everything should be solved today, but there should be a clear understanding as to exactly what the issues are and how we want to treat the issues. So generally, the outcome of the meeting, whatever would come out of the meeting, would inform our next line of action. Right. We are looking at all considerations. We know it's a strain and a drain in the aviation sector when these things go on. We are very mindful of that. And we are hoping that at the end of this meeting, something fruitful will come up.
About how many are you? Numerical strength, I mean.
We are just around 300, about 320 or thereabouts.
Right. About 320 of you.
Yes, that is permanent staff, but we have a lot of voluntary staff who also pick up data for us, scattered all over the country.
Right. And so this affects them as well, these other people you speak of?
Yes, it affects everyone. Because whatever we are doing is in the interest of the general staff.
Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin has questioned what he calls the Rambo-style approach adopted by the police service in the arrest of journalists allegedly involved in false publications. He describes such arrest as backward. The Speaker, who is incensed over the recent development, argued the swift arrest of these journalists is an affront to free speech. According to the Speaker, persons who feel slanted by what they describe as false media publications should resort to the rule of law and not the use of force by the police. Speaking at the commissioning of the Parliamentary Press Corps office, Mr. Alban Bagbin charged government to strengthen the NMC in dealing with recalcitrant journalists. We'll bring you those details shortly from the Speaker, but we'll move on to other stories. We'll bring you those sounds. Our man Parker Wilson is in Parliament for us. He'll bring us more on this. Parker, what really inspired the Speaker to make these statements?
Well, so Aisha, the Speaker was talking about how we've transitioned from the dark days into democracy, where the media at the time were persecuted, and that as we speak at the moment, the media has been given the opportunity to operate. So any attempt by anybody to gag media personnel would be an affront to the practice of journalism in the country. And for him, his argument was that the NMC has the capability, has what it takes to check and ensure that there is sanity on our airways. So the use of force by the police is not the way to go. And he warned persons hiding behind the police to misbehave, to disengage from the practice, indicating that they are gradually returning the country to the dark days where they were gagging press freedom. And so that was his position. In fact, I must say, he really called on the Ghana Police Service and lashed out at them for how they have handled some journalists in recent past. And proceeded further to also question journalists against things that may or are not right, or things that they will say that could undermine the democracy of this country.
I know that the issue of Adwoa Safo's absence in Parliament has also been a matter of concern among parliamentarians. Did that come up today?
Aisha, the absence of the Member of Parliament for Tome Fabian has been an interesting issue within the Members of Parliament. Now, let me tell you one thing, that here in Parliament, because of the solidarity among the members, sometimes the MPs go to the extent of even writing the names of their colleagues who are absent. In the last 15 days, no MPP MP has written the name of Madam Adwoa. And if you check the voting proceedings, there is absent with permission and absent. The name of Adwoa has been captured under members who are absent. And if you look at pending orders for the 16, it is clear that if you absent yourself from parliamentary proceedings for more than 15 days, the Privileges Committee would have to deal with you. And subsequently, your seat could be declared vacant. And so today actually marks exactly 15 days of the absence of Sarah Adwoa in the chamber. What it means is that from next week, the House is going to start counting from there, and any member of the House can invoke Order 16 to ensure that the Speaker refers the conduct of Sarah Adwoa to the Privileges Committee. The Privileges Committee would then have to listen to her, understand why she has chosen not to attend parliamentary duties without permission. And if they establish that his absence has no justifiable cause, then they will recommend that the seat should be declared vacant. So next week, I understand that some NDC MPs are getting themselves ready to invoke Order 16, where they will cite the conduct or refer the conduct of Sarah Adwoa to the Privileges Committee.
Baka, hold on for me, because Parliament is pushing for the swift resettlement of the Apiate victims because of the rainy season. We'll try and bring you the rest shortly. We'll take a break shortly and we'll bring you the rest. Welcome back today. We will go back to Parliament and get more on what is happening in the House. Right now, let's listen to the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, who is incensed over what he describes as Rambo-style arrest of journalists.
The media space and Ghana's legal regime for the media anticipated this and has prescribed a way out of this challenge. That is why we have the National Media Commission, and Parliament needs to focus on the National Media Commission. We need to urgently revise the law on the Media Commission to add some teeth and resources for the Commission to be effective. It's because of this challenge also that we have so many laws on media and free speech. As a lawyer myself, in the early days of my practice and also my parliamentary life, I was compelled to take a number of media houses to court using the rule of law, not the rule of man. The police cannot assume responsibility for responsible media practice in Ghana by scanning newspapers and news portals and arresting journalists for errors and misrepresentation. And I don't know how our police CID were trained. That if there's an allegation made a citizen, the first thing is to arrest that citizen. I don't know why they got that law from. You invite the citizen, and the citizen will voluntarily appear before you to start investigation. If when the citizen is refusing and failing to do so, and you have evidence that the citizen wants to escape from the ambit of the law, that you can proceed to arrest the citizen.
The push for a bipartisan committee to probe the death of the late President Atta Mills has been greeted with mixed reactions by residents of Otuam, hometown of the late president. As you know, 4 majority MPs have filed a private member's motion for the committee to be set up. The MP said this will settle the mystery surrounding the former president's death, but the late president's brother disagrees. Let's head over to Otuam, the hometown of the late President Atta Mills, to find out how they are reacting to this news of investigating the cause of his death. Central Regional Correspondent Richard Kwejo-Nyako joins us on the line. Richard, you have been engaging some of the residents of Otuam. What do they make of this move to probe the death of the late president?
So, Aisha, the reactions have been mixed. Some feel that it's much ado about nothing. It's been a long time, and so they should let sleeping dogs lie. They also even believe that since the passing of the late president, nothing has even been done instantly at Otuam for them to even worry their heads over. But others also feel that because he was a sitting head of state who died in office, and the cause of the death has not been made known, and the narrative at that time, there were some inconsistencies in there. They believe that there should be some inquiry or some full disclosure of a sort for them to know that this was what indeed killed, just as like any other person they would have done that for. They also even state that because he is not an ordinary person like themselves, if it had happened to them and nothing like that happened, they would have been okay. But for a certain head of state, something should be done, and then there should be a documentation to that effect. And so these are the reactions from the people here at Otuam, the hometown of the late president.
But does that also remind the people in that town of the projects that he's put in place, which is sitting there idle?
Well, for the E-block at Otuam, it's functioning, but it is the presidential library in Cape Coast that has not been put to use. It's sitting there idle. They have not made comment to that effect. It is the people in Cape Coast here who are making a huge thing out of, because they feel that the man has not been immortalized enough. The man has not been respected. The memories of the man has not been respected enough. Something that they did to honor him, it is still standing idle, and then it is even, some of them are even rusting away.
Recently, the Heritage Fund was inaugurated in his honor. What do they make of that also?
Come again, Aisha.
Recently, the Heritage Fund has been put in place for to immortalize the man. What do they think of that?
Well, so they feel that something should have been done a long time ago. So anything that is done like this, they believe it's an afterthought, and then the man was not really honored when, as soon as he died, people just paid some lip service to what they were going to do to immortalize him. But now they feel indifferent about the entire thing.
Kwejo-Nyako is a man in the Central Region. Let's remain there because the Central Regional Minister, Justina Marigold Assin, has expressed worry at the rate children between 9 and 12 years keep getting pregnant in the Central Region. She says it is uncomfortable to see girls who are below their teenage age already mothers. Speaking at stakeholder dialogue on teenage pregnancy with Queen mothers in the Central Region, the minister called for increased efforts in dealing with the challenge. Richard Kwejo-Nyako has more.
Today, when we looked at the statistics from the health directorate, we realized that we've been living 10 point something. So we are going down, and so many interventions running, and some other NGOs who are supporting us. And as they are supporting, putting in monies and all of that, then as leaders of the region, we needed to also step up our game and then speak to leaders in the region, especially Queen Mothers, and then some individuals to also come on board so that together we'll be able to eradicate, if not put it to the barest minimum.
Central Regional Minister Justina Marigold Assin bemoaning the teenage pregnancy statistics across the country. She expressed her sadness about the age of the girls that are now getting pregnant.
From the Education Directorate, looking at the figures that she was putting out, it was alarming. Yes. At a point, I saw that somebody was a 9-year-old girl already having a child. Quite alarming, so serious. And personally, I don't know, but I will not be happy to see my girl child at a night. Oh, please. It's too much that when you hear some of these things coming, it gets you worried, and you should sit up and look out for anything that you can do to solve this problem. So yes, targets we've given to various departments to work on, but critically we are going to help the Queen Mothers, at least support them with something small. In terms of, they would have to go and visit some community members. They need to talk to people. They will need fuel. They will need to give them water and other things. So that is one area that we really want to champion.
In 2020, the Central Region alone recorded over 10,000 teenage pregnancies. And this has got many in the region worried. The Central Regional Minister is charging Queen Mothers to rise up and change the narrative. Paramount Queen Mother of Mankasim, Nanamba Emisa, who spoke on behalf of the Queen Mothers, indicated the traditional authorities have a role to play in changing the current happenings, and they would rise to the occasion.
Now, Minister, na some day, opeda na breeding teenage pregnancy war, Central Region or Bafum. Now, what Bafum Sumpo, you're the third position. The third position, the
minister wants the teenage pregnancy numbers to reduce. It has even gone down. We are now in the third position in the whole country. Even with the third position, it is not good for the region. The Queen Mothers have played a role in ensuring the reduction in the numbers.
No, you need to my hand. You crew, you cool schools. When
the numbers were high, we had to visit the schools and homes to talk to them and all that. Broken homes, parental neglect account for a whole lot. We will do more about this to ensure a further reduction.
The
stakeholders, including the Ghana Education Service, the Ghana Health Service, were unanimous in their resolve to help keep the girls in school than allowing pregnancy to curtail their dreams. Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kwejo-Nyako, Cape Coast.
We can go back to Parliament and listen to parliamentarians who are pushing for the swift resettlement of victims of the Apiati explosion. According to MP for Pristia Honey Valley, Robert Wisdom Kujo, the onset of the rainy season would further expose the plight of the victims who are currently being housed in tents. Delivering a statement on the floor of the House, he also questioned the absence of Maxam, the mining company allegedly cited for the explosion in the support fund for the victims. Here are excerpts of what transpired on the floor of the House.
And the mattresses wet, which means water can easily seep through their tent and destroy their things. My issue here is that the rain pattern in Western region. It will soon start maybe by March. And I believe these people cannot continue to stay in this tent throughout the year. I believe that with the promises from other corporate institutions, the government, and then the fine slap on the company, that is Maxam Company Limited, I think we can put up permanent structures for these people within a year. Mr. Speaker, as the government, corporate Ghana and individuals are making frantic efforts to support the victims of Apiati to resettle, my observation as Member of Parliament for the area indicate that Maxam Ghana Company Limited, which caused the explosion, is conspicuously missing in the action with regard to management and support to the victims. Thankfully, Mr. Speaker, a press release by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources on 7th February 2022 indicates that the government has imposed a fine of 6 million Ghana cedis, $6 million US or equivalent at the prevailing commercial rate on Maxam Company Limited for regulatory breaches. I have no doubt whatsoever that in the computation of the fine, the rebuilding of appearance, compensation to victims, and restitution of all lost properties were taken into consideration. Mr. Speaker, I want also to take this opportunity to call or to draw the attention of Ghana Police Service to its press statement dated 21st January 2022, when the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, visited the disaster site to effect that the driver of the escort vehicle assisted the community members to move children of Apieti Basic School to a safe zone is inaccurate. It must be stated that there is no existing school at Apieti per Ghana Education Service records, and the escort driver couldn't have vacated school children in the community. As a representative of the people in that area, I wish to urge the police administration to retract and render unqualified apology to the chief and the good people of Pristia Munivari, for that matter, the victims of Apieti disaster.
Mr. Speaker, this was a scary thing. But then, it is a lesson that we must learn as a country, that all measures must be put in place to ensure that such a disaster never happens in the history of this country or the entire world. The maker of the speaker drew our attention to the current state of affairs at the camp. This is a situation where we have people of 20, 30, 40 people in a tent. And Mr. Speaker, we know that the Western region is a place that when the rain starts to come in, it rains heavily. My worry is that if measures are not put in place, if the promise of resettling these people, the promise of putting up accommodations are not pursued, and the rains set in, Mr. Speaker, you can imagine the difficulties, the problems, the hardship our fellow Ghanaians would go through.
Mr. Speaker, the maker of the statement mentioned the current situation, which includes housing the people in tents. I mean, all of us know that tents, by their very nature, are very temporary housing facilities. But when you think about the impending rainy season, which is set to begin any time from now, I think it poses a little bit of a worrying problem. And I will want to add my voice to urge government to speed up with the effort to find permanent housing for the people of Apieti, so that they are not needlessly exposed to the vagaries of the weather.
Away from Parliament, Chief Justice Nini Yeboah is urging the youth to use a legitimate means to demand solutions to challenges confronting them. There have been concerns in recent times about students resort to rioting on some campuses when they are displeased with university policies. Speaking at the installation of the new hall master for Commonwealth Hall Thursday, the Chief Justice recounted his own experiences of demanding solutions during his years as a student. There's more in the following report.
Current and old students grace the colorful occasion.
I always have a deep sense of nostalgia when I step in Commonwealth Hall. And yet my memories of the first year when I stepped in this hall are as vivid as just yesterday. I landed in Commonwealth Hall by mistake.
At a point, I was lead candidate for chief vandal for this great hall of Commonwealth. But when they took me to Father Bacchus and the shrine, I was torn between being announced the first Muslim chief vandal.
New Hall Master Dr. Francis Ajay pledged to deal with the challenges facing the hall.
A few months ago, I shared my vision for Commonwealth Hall with the fellows as lifting the image of the hall to levels beyond where our forebears have left it for us. Through transparent administration and sound governance practices that will make all its stakeholders feel valued and respected. This vision is anchored on 3 levers. 1, consolidating our gains by maintaining our identity as Commonwealth Hall. Learning lessons from our history to improve our successes. And third one is to improve students' experiences on campus. For our staff, creating avenues to motivate you, enhancing professional work attitude, and performance for growth and development are integral to our medium-term outlook. We will hopefully attain this by ensuring greater discipline and professionalism among you.
Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Nanaba Amfo, assured management is poised to address the accommodation challenges confronting the school.
Undeniably, student accommodation is one of the major challenges that we are facing as a university. On the particular matter of the Commonwealth Hall Annex, Council has taken up that matter and is in communication with the Old Vandal Association. My role as Vice-Chancellor would be to liaise between all the interested parties and to ensure that all concerns are legitimately addressed.
Chief Justice Kwesi Enin-Yeboah took the opportunity to advise students on how to press home demand for solutions.
So my passionate plea to you, especially the young ones, there are so many ways of redressing obvious wrongs which may happen on the university campus. Please, as a community, we are bound by laws and regulations. My appeal to you is to try as much as possible to have means of redressing these wrongs. When we were here, Dr. Banfo happened to be our hall master. Professor Pristia is here. He can bear with me. We complained bitterly, Doc, our food is not good. Please, can you spare us some time and come and taste it so that you... He said, oh, you are eating the best of food on the campus. So he was not prepared to come. So what did we do? One day we packed every food that they had prepared. We seized every food from the kitchen, put them on trucks, wheelbarrows, straight to the university hospital where he was working. I said, Prof, if you claim the food is good, you eat everything. We left everything there and came back. Then the next day, improvement. The next day, improvement.
The installation ceremony kickstarts a series of activities marking the hall's annual week celebration. Ifwa Aprekua's report read to you.
We'll take a break. We'll bring you business shortly. Time now for business. The Ghana Revenue Authority is poised to leverage digitization to achieve the 80.3 million Ghana cedi revenue target for 2022. The GRA Commissioner General Amisha Daewusu said several innovative ideas have been tabled to be executed in the year aimed at expanding the country's revenue mobilization system. He said this at the GRA 2022 Management Retreat at the Volta Serene Hotel in Ho.
The Ghana Revenue Authority Commissioner General Amisha Daewusu indicated that the digitization drive for domestic tax and customs division will continue unabated, where the next phase of ECUMS and the taxpayer portal would be deployed. He highlighted the piloting of e-commerce, gaming and bet taxes, among other strategies to enhance revenue mobilization.
We will, once we get the approval from Parliament, implement the e-levy, and we will carry out massive education and Ghana support as much as possible to ensure that the successful in the country. We are also conscious of the VAT, and I've also heard people talk about that. And I also want to announce that by 1st April, we will start piloting electronic VAT, or electronic invoicing. And we have already selected a number of taxpayers, about 100 of them, who will be part of the piloting.
The Deputy Finance Minister, Abena Osei-Asari, entreated the GRA to undertake staff capacity building and leverage digital space to achieve revenue targets.
Secretary Chair, the exigencies of our current situation, high youth unemployment, limited fiscal space, and a global pandemic, demand our regional authority is well positioned to deliver prompt, convenient, and responsive service of the highest quality. To do this, we believe that these two fundamental principles must guide you. One is empowering our GRA staff to work to high standards and full accountability. And then two is leveraging digital tools to realize operational efficiencies. I believe these principles will cause a fundamental shift in the perception of GRA staff.
The Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Ashibod Lecha, implored GRA to explore all measures towards attaining the Ghana Beyond Aid mantra.
As we all know, economies the world over have not been the same since COVID-19 appeared. In spite of these challenges, we are determined as a country to be self-reliant without heavily relying on the continuous support from the World Bank, IMF, and other donor partners. Togwe Chairman, for government to attain its goal of Ghana Beyond Aid, authority must use all available means to mobilize the needed revenue to fund the provision of infrastructure such as hospitals, portable water, and all other amenities needed to make the lives of our citizens better.
Fred Kwame Asai, Joy News. Oh.
The Ghana Stock Exchange will be embarking on a project to get the youth to embrace investments on the local bourse. The move is part of initiatives by the exchange to boost activities on the market and also attract young investors. Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Eko Afeji, has been explaining this to Joy Business.
I'm very passionate about how we can get our youth to get educated about their future in terms of investments and entrepreneurial skills and all those things. You cannot wait for government to create employment for everybody. It's important that we inculcate the savings habit when they are young. Then they can move on to investments. So what we plan to do is to use the online and use the various media options around, and together with the Ghana Securities Industry Association, we'll be working together to make sure that we can carry on some long-term educational programs. And like you said, we shouldn't target just the university graduates or students, but also those in the informal sector. It's important that we develop that habit because you can't bet forever in your life. You can make some money through betting, but is that the way you want to live your life? We need to invest for the future. And the only way we can have a prosperous future is to invest. That is why I always believe we must encourage them when they're even in primary school. When the parent gives that child money, teach that child how to save a little of that money. And some children do it. So by the time they even get to university, they have a lot of savings. Parents should open accounts for their children. By the time they get to 18, you can pass over those accounts to that. Nobody is saying started with any big money, but just to inculcate that habit of savings and investments. Look at the Chinese, the Indians, and all those countries. They all have higher savings rates. Somebody will say we are poor. We haven't got into those economies. I understand.
That does it for Business. Sports is up next.
Time now for sports. On Joy News today, I am Muftau Nabila Ablat. Government is set to inject over $200 million to ensure a successful host of the Africa 2023 Games. Sports Minister Mustafa received made this pronouncement at a meeting with the representatives of African Union who were happy with the ongoing works so far at the venues earmarked for the Games. Local organizing committee chairman for the competition also expressed his certainty of completing all projects before the deadline. My colleague Haruna Mubarak was with the team and came through with this report.
It all began at Alisa Hotel. The program was graced by several dignitaries, including Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf, Mrs. Mariama Sise Mohammed, who is the Director of Social Development, Culture and Sports, plus heads of federations and members of the African Union. The continental body sent representatives to Ghana to inspect ongoing works at the various venues. Sports Minister gave them an amiable welcome and reassured them of government's commitment in ensuring a successful Games.
Ghana has met its obligation of paying the initial $900,000 to the African Union as a commitment fee to host the 13th African Games. The government of Ghana is committing over $200 million to provide the international standard sports infrastructure for the Games and several millions of the US in activities before, during and after the Games.
Porteman was the first venue inspected by the reps of the AU. The multipurpose complex, when completed, will have a 1,000-seater swimming pool arena, a 1,000-seater sports hall for indoor events, 5 tennis courts, 6-lane warm-up athletics track, among others. The works ongoing are at the foundation stage, and the workers have a deadline to meet.
I'm currently working on the foundations and clearing of the sites, basically, and we're waiting because of the rains, which will be coming in very soon. All our energies are focused on the earthworks, and that is what we are currently focusing on. So we'll meet a deadline 3 months early before the game, so we can test all the equipment and all the facilities that we provided for the games.
9 months ago, this land was empty. There was no sign of any construction work. But today, the workers around me, the caterpillar behind me, the danger signs clearly suggest one thing. The workers are working around the clock to ensure they complete the project in 15 months' time. At Legon, a site for the Games Village, athletics and rugby fields, no facility has been completed there. Contractors have been given a deadline of December this year. This is how it will look like when completed. The cricket venue at Achimota needs to be upgraded to meet the international standard. The scoreboard and floodlights at the hockey site are the 2 facilities that have to be changed. Tennis courts at the Accra Sports Stadium plus the football turf were examined as well, with no major issues, which has impressed the inspectors.
This one behind you already, they just need a bit of refurbishing. So for me, it's not that there is no facility available. Ghana will be hosting Africa. Ghana will be hosting Athletes of Africa. And I can assure you, from what you have seen from the tour today, that all that has to be done technically is being planned so that the games can be delivered in due time.
Despite not completing any new facility, the local organizing committee is optimistic of getting the job done.
Being our first time, we are all committed to getting this project done, and we hope that by the deadline, it's not 1 year, we have a bit more than 1 year. So it's going to, yes, so roughly 18 or 17 months. So we're hoping that we'll be able to, the contractors have been told to try as much as possible to meet the deadlines, and we are hoping and praying that all will be well.
The sand in the hourglass continues to fall, with just 18 months remaining for Ghana to perform an infrastructural miracle for the 2023 Africa Games. Haruna Mubarak for Joy Sports.
And this is how we wrap up sports here on Joy News today with me, Muftau Nabila Abla. You can head on to my joyonline.com and read some more sports stories.
Good afternoon, welcome to Showbiz here on Joy News Today. Now, the Legendary Night, an event which aims at promoting Ghanaian music in the UK, has been launched Thursday in Accra. The event, according to organizers, will take place in March 25 in the UK with performances from over 20 Ghanaian musicians. Here is all you need to know about the event.
What inspired me was looking at the range of artists that have made bangers from the likes of Orion Ponsa, the old school guys. You know, one thing I know is that London really loves the old school people. So bringing out a lineup like this will bring a lot of headliners, you know, and then bringing out some faces that we haven't seen performing in a long time, likes of Entry, Dada KD, you know, I could name the Sonia Chiba and bring them all together and bring in the new school as well, make an epic scene, you know what I'm saying? So that was the reason why I brought this lineup out.
And how feasible do you think that is? We've had conversations about how everything is in place for this program to take off, but how important is this concert or this program to the Ghanaian populace?
You see, basically you saw the number of artists and industry people that came here to just support, you know, this whole concept. What it's actually trying to tell us is that, you know, once we agree to come together to, you know, to do something, we will be able to achieve it. So with a big project like this, trying to feel like a 5,000 capacity O2 Brixton, we all of us need to come together.
It's a huge opportunity for us, so, you know, the diaspora, the Ghanaian artists, and everybody as a Ghanaian. So I think this is an opportunity for us to meet them, you know. After Corona, there isn't such a huge event like that, so I think this is a huge opportunity for us all.
Yeah, it's still the launch of the Legendary Night. Cartel Big J, always representing the brand. Prior, and he's right here. I love, you know, all the things.
Thank you.
You know, what do you make of this particular one?
Well, I think it's a laudable initiative. Stage Entertainment in collaboration with Kaya Tours. This is a very big one. Looking at the names that are built to perform on the event, Charlie, that's a huge one. Nobody has ever attempted that. In my 18 years of going back and forth to Europe and doing shows abroad, this is a big one. And I think I like the combination. I like like I was saying, I like the cocktail of genres that have been paraded there. And I think it's gonna make the age difference beautiful. Because mostly when you are the problem I usually see is when, because of the people you are billing, will attract the kind of audience that are gonna come. But we all know UK especially has a lot of our old moms and uncles, and they also want to come to such events.
This will be like your first performance in 2022?
2022, yeah, I'll say yes. Major performance, yes.
What are we expecting from you?
UK, I'll say is my base as well, you know, so it's something that I'm really excited to perform in the UK, so it will be very excited. It will be very different and exciting.
Fast rising musician Black Sherif has finally brought the anticipation of the second Seven Remix music video featuring Burna Boy, Tuan, and the rapper singer held a private viewing of the music video for some selected fans, social media influencers, bloggers, and industry players at Impact Hub in Osu on Thursday. He spoke to Joy News after the event. It's the second Sermon Remix video premiere here, and I have the man Blacko himself here to tell us all about it. It's a beautiful event you've had here, industry players coming in to support you. Generally, what's your overview of, you know, the whole event this evening? Are you impressed?
very, 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 very impressed. And like, it's all appreciations to everybody, everyone who came out to support me. It's like everyone I invited that came out to support me. I love you guys so much.
Auntie Mary said, this be the life and the life for here.
On that note, we end Showbiz here on Joy News today. My name is Becky. Over to you, Aisha.
And that's how we wrap up news today. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. You get updates of all the developing stories. Enjoy the rest of our programs.